From the headquarters of the Guild of Champions, this is the Becoming Thin podcast, and I am your host, Chris Terrell. Welcome to another week of your weight loss quest. How did this last week go for you, champion? What new challenges did you encounter? But more importantly, what failure did you go through, and what lesson did you get from that failure? Come on now, don't let a perfectly good failure go by without you getting your lesson. That's your reward for your troubles, after all. Now, if you're new here, I've lost 125 pounds myself after an entire adulthood, chronic yo-yo dieting. Up, down, up again, before I finally got sick and tired of being sick and tired, in fact, and made some permanent, meaningful, and actual changes to my real-life lifestyle, habits, routines, environment, community, and to my systems of belief. Because it's all those things that create the results in my life, and if I wanted to get new results in my life, I was going to have to go change those 6 things: my lifestyle, habits, routines, environment, community, and belief systems. If you want to get new results, you're going to have to go change yours too. Now, change is not easy. You know, people ask me all the time, like, how do you lose weight? And, you know, I'm like, well, eat less than you need. It's the answer. You know, a lot of people say, well, how do you do that? Right? It seems really hard. And I'm like, well, I mean, mechanically, weight loss is actually pretty easy. And then, of course, but people are always like, well, yeah, I don't know, it sure seems hard when I do it. Well, because we're not focusing on the right thing. When we say the hard thing, weight loss mechanically is really not that complicated. It's actually pretty easy. The challenge comes in, it's how do we get ourselves to do it? Right? And one of the things I thought I could do today that might be fun is I got 5 prepared for you. I have 5 ways that you might be making weight loss harder. Now, you might not be doing all 5 of these. You might not be doing any of them, but these are some of the most common that I see. I'm not going to say they're the most common. They're just among the most common. There's more, but I think these 5 are pretty good. And so as I go through this list, I just want you to ask yourself as you go through this, am I doing this? Am I making my weight loss harder than it needs to be? I thought of my weight loss journey like a quest, like a video game. I was a gamer most of my life. And with a game, you can turn the difficulty setting up and you can turn it down. Now, a lot of games will have like a newbie mode, super easy. It's like the enemies literally can be point blank at you and they can't hit you. And then you've got like the legendary difficulty setting where it's like you can't do anything hardly. Like it's insanely difficult. But you picked the difficulty setting and you decided the kind of game you were going to play. So complaining that the game is hard when you picked the hard setting doesn't make sense, because you could just go pick the easier setting that more matches where you are. And I realized my weight loss journey is very much the same thing. There are things that I can do to take the game of weight loss and make it more difficult, make it harder. I'm dialing up the difficulty setting. But there are also things you can do that'll dial the difficulty setting down. Now, so many of us are like, what do I got to do to make weight loss easier? What do I got to do to make weight loss easier? What are the things I can do that'll make weight loss easy? What are the hacks? What are the tricks? Well, that's looking for the thing that will make it easy if you add it to your journey. But what if the best way to make it easy is to find how you're making it difficult and then just stop doing those things? But that means you got to find where you're complicating it, where you're needlessly making the journey difficult. And the interesting thing is many times we don't know we're doing it. A lot of this journey is us discovering how we are in our own way so that we can get out of our own way. So let's talk about the first one. Chasing perfection instead of chasing consistency. We got a mindset in the guild I talk about. Fall down 7 times, get up 8. It's a quote used from Denzel Washington. Because one of the things that many of us do that makes weight loss difficult at times in our life is we chase perfect streaks. We chase never getting it wrong. I need the scale to go down regularly. I need to always be tracking my calories. I need to never miss a workout. We're chasing perfection because when we're doing it, we feel like we're definitely going to win. We feel like we're a good person. We feel all sorts of things, right? When we're chasing perfection, we're doing that so that we will feel something. I don't know what it is you're wanting to feel, but you're doing it to feel something. And so the challenge with perfection with regards to weight loss is failure is not something you can avoid. You are going to have weeks where you do everything quote unquote right and the scale doesn't go down and there's no other sign of progress. And in your mind, you might say, this means I have failed. I wanted to lose weight every week. I didn't lose weight this week. Therefore, I failed. Okay, sure. I guess technically you did. But so what's the problem? You see, perfectionism usually comes with it a schedule. I need to lose X weight by X date. I need to lose X amount of weight over X period of time. I need to do this much in this period of time. It sets up, perfection brings with it a whole host of expectations. But remember this, expectations are just pre-planned discouragements. And expecting perfection sets you up for a world of frustration and a world of discouragement because your expectations are not going to all be met. In fact, many of them that you care about will go unmet. It will be something else. I was driving to work today, and the person in front of me took way too long to get up and going in the turn lane once the light turned green, and I ended up having to catch the light. That person got up to the line as it was turning red, and they kept going. There was no way I could go through it. And I'm like, and there was huge room in front of me because they sat there paused for a long time, right? And the first thing that happened to me, I was like, I was all mad. And then I sat there, and I was like, wait a minute. This is funny. I'm going to use this. I'm only mad because I had the expectation that I was going to make it through this light. And I didn't. And so I went in looking for a source of something to blame. And it was the person in front of me. And sure, they were to blame. They went slow. If they went faster, I'd have made it. And now I'm upset. But I'm only upset not because the person went slow. That's what I said. I said I was upset because the person went slow. No, I was upset because an expectation didn't get met. And then I went and looked for someone to blame, a finger to point at. And I picked the person in front of me. But the reality is my disappointment wasn't from the person in front of me. The disappointment was because I had an expectation and I allowed myself to really care about it. And you know what? I did not need to make it through that light. There are other days when I'm listening to something and I have a 10-minute drive to work. And sometimes I'm like listening to a podcast or I'm listening to some YouTube video in the background and I'm like, it's a 20-minute video. Well, I kind of want my drive to take a long time. So in those days, I'm super happy to catch the light. I don't mind if I catch it twice. Not a problem. I don't have the expectation that I need and I'm going to make it through it in this first green light. This is what perfectionism does. It sets you up for this sort of experience where you have an expectation and it doesn't get met. And then you go looking for a source to blame for your uncomfortable feelings due to your discouraged feelings that are coming from your unmet expectation. But remember, you're the one that set the expectation. And a lot of times, if your expectations are being created from your perfectionistic mind and you're coming to expectations with a perfectionistic mindset, you're going to get frustrated. The reality for weight loss, to dial the difficulty setting down, is you don't focus on perfection. You focus on consistency. And many people confuse the two thinking they're the same thing. They're not. Consistency is I consistently show up. Doesn't mean I always show up. It just means I consistently do. Call it 80% of the time. If you stick to your strategy 80% of the time and don't go too crazy the other 20% of the time, you'll probably be fine. Now, if those of you in the final 10 to 20 pounds, no, not for you. That doesn't apply. You dick around 20% of the time, you'll just maintain. You won't lose weight. But for the vast majority of you, 80% is fine. You can really kind of fudge a lot of the little details, providing you're doing the 80% of it, you're really on point. The other part that goes with consistency is, with consistency, we know you're going to make a mistake. It's not I know you're going to miss days of steps. I know you're going to miss count your calories some days. I know you're going to get stressed and overeat one day. I know you're going to get injured and not be able to work out. I know you're going to have things go wrong. Sometimes just the day's going to get away from you and it's 10 o'clock and you realize you only got 3,000 steps. And it's like, well, I'm not getting them today. You see, perfectionism would say, you failed. You've already messed up. You're done. Whereas consistency would say, okay, that's fine. You messed up today. Let's not do it tomorrow, though. You got it yesterday. Today got away from you. Let's make sure tomorrow we get it right. What can we learn from today to make sure tomorrow we show up? It allows the wiggle room and the grace to have some backslides because you just get up and you keep showing up. Consistency paired with persistence, a relentless spirit where you just keep getting up every time you fall down 7 times, get up 8, you'll make it. Let's talk about the second one. Overcomplicating eating and tracking. So many people overcomplicate weight loss. Oh, I got to worry about my insulin. No, you don't. Oh, I got to worry about the micronutrients. No, you don't. Oh, I need to eat healthy. No, you don't. Yeah, I need to worry about all these things. No, you don't. Not right now. You can worry about it later. Worry about it later. The reality is for weight loss, it's simple. It's calories. It's calories. It's just calories. That's all it is. It's just calories. Everything else should be done to modify your behavior. Some people do intermittent fasting. It is entirely unnecessary, but for some of you, you're going to do it. And that's fine. It's not because it's magic, right? You still lose weight. Like if you do intermittent fasting and if you don't do intermittent fasting and you eat the same amount of calories, you will lose the same amount of weight. Like here, let me say that again. Let's say if you eat 1,800 calories intermittent fasting and you eat 800 calories not intermittent fasting on average over a period of a few weeks, guess what? You'll lose the same amount of weight probably. It wasn't because intermittent fasting doesn't make you lose weight faster. But if when you intermittent fast, you actually stick to your calorie target for the day, and we don't intermittent fast, you act like an asshole and eat off of vibes and you eat way more than you need every day. Well, in that case, intermittent fasting might help you get started not because it's making you magically lose weight. It's making it where you're actually doing the behavior that leads to weight loss. It's a behavior modification technique. It doesn't alter the science of weight loss. The mechanics of weight loss always have been and always will be eat at a calorie deficit over time. Yeah, Chris, but I got such and such problem in my life. Okay. And you still got to do all the basics. Calories still count. Steps still count. Hydration still counts. Water still counts. Exercise still matters. Getting protein still matters. Like these are just basic fundamentals. They apply to everybody. Okay, so you got some special thing. Okay, that only means you got to do the basics more. So many people are always trying to overcomplicate weight loss, chasing a quick fix. Oh, I'm going through perimenopause, so I got to have all these super special drugs and supplements and this super rigid way of eating and life. And it's like, no, you probably don't. Yes, some of you probably do. Most of you probably don't. Most of you will probably be fine if you just actually do the basics consistently 80% of the time, maybe 90% of the time. You just do the basics. You know, when you're trying to track perfectly, I got to get every little calorie exactly tracked. You're just making it complicated for no reason. It does not matter. 1,400 calories a day and 1,450 calories a day are both wrong. The odds of you writing down the exact number of calories that your body needs is basically zero. It's basically zero. I can guarantee every single day you are off by 50 to 100 to 200 calories. Somehow you are off. And you might be thinking, not me, Chris. I do everything off of nutrition labels, and I only do things I can scan with a barcode, and I weigh everything. Cool. Did you know that nutrition labels are allowable by the FDA to have a 20% variance off of actual? 20% variable off of actual. That is big. That's a noticeable amount. Go look at a box of a Tic Tacs. It says they are 0 calories. No, they are not 0 calories. They're just shy of 2 calories each. Does that matter in the grand scheme of things? No, it's only like 50 calories for a little packet of them or something like that, 100 calories, right? It's not the end of the world. You're probably not eating an entire packet of Tic Tacs at once anyway. At least I hope not. So what I'm getting at is, try as you might, you will never be perfect. So there's no point in being perfect. Close enough will work. It's like horseshoes and hand grenades. You get close, you still get points. Okay? Also, when you're trying to eat the perfect food, the perfect meal, remember, you got to do this for the rest of your life. The rest of your life, you have to do this. Really think about that. So make sure whatever you're doing for food, you're not overcomplicating this. And really think about it. Is there any way of eating that you've done forever? No, you've always changed what you eat and how you eat slowly over time. You have ways of eating you leave and then you return to them, you evolve them, you iterate them forward. You have different times of year where you're attracted to different kinds of foods. You're always making subtle changes. Well, don't overcomplicate it by trying to make it all stupid rigid. Allow yourself to change as you do things. But also allow yourself to do repeat meals too if you want. Right? It's about not trying to feel like you have to do anything. These are all choices. It's all cause and effect. The tracking is just to help you document your choices so that when you look at the effect of all your choices, you could use that information to make different choices in the future. That's what we're going for. Want to help it where you can make different alternative choices in the future. So just make your journey easy, right? And don't overcomplicate it by chasing perfection on every little thing. Tracking macros is complicated. There's really no reason to do it for most people. There's very little return on investment of your time, ROI. There's very little ROI on that effort. You're going to put all this effort in to track your macros, and you're not really going to lose weight any faster than if you just ate what you wanted. But when you're tracking your macros, you might end up not liking as much what you eat because it makes the math more complicated. The next one is letting setbacks define you. You know, I was just talking about this. I did a lesson in the guild this morning. It's called I Fell Off the Wagon, Now What? Where we talk about what happens when you've fallen off the wagon, the psychological experience. How do you do it? What do you do? One of the things we were talking about is shame in that. And it's like when we mess up, we let the mistake define who we are. It's like you failed. That means you're a failure. And, oh, you emotionally ate. That must mean you're secretly a big person and you're never going to change. Oh, you ate your feelings. Oh, you can't stop eating. See, that means something's wrong with you. You know, and we just whenever these things happen, we confuse what we do with who we are. We start letting ourselves believe that we can't change because we let a setback happen and we allow ourselves to be defined by our setbacks. And what's really problematic that makes the weight loss journey exceptionally complicated is defining yourself by your setbacks and not defining yourself by your successes. The reality is your successes in your past demonstrate what you're capable of. Your setbacks in your past demonstrate what you're capable of. The reality is you are right now capable of being successful in the future, and you are capable of failing in the future. You are equally capable of both. You could do both. You could fail and you could not fail. But you see, the difference between those that make the weight loss journey hard and those that don't is those that make the weight loss journey easier, they know that setbacks and mistakes are normal. They're expected. That's one of the beauties of when you're in the guild or something is you're surrounded by a bunch of people that know this. And so when you're having a setback and you're getting all discouraged, you have your OSP group, your only supportive people group, that come to support you and remind you that, hey, this is normal. This happened to me last month. Just keep going. Scale will break. Just hold the line. Maybe get a little more diligent, but don't go changing everything up. It's working. You were losing weight before. You've been steadily losing. Don't go changing it all up. Just keep going. Just hold the line. Don't give up. Hold the line. But you see, sometimes you need people to help remind you of that your successes define you. But don't let your setbacks be the sole and only determiner of your potential in the future. Yes, it's true. It's objectively true. If you made a mistake in the past, you're capable of making the same mistake in the future. That's true. But you're also capable of being successful. You are equally capable of being successful as you are of failing, of having a setback. It's equal. But you have the ability to self-sabotage. You have the ability to set up a mentality within your own mind where success becomes more difficult. And one of the ways to do that is to hyper-focus and remember all of your mistakes, all of your slip-ups. This is where sometimes it's actually very helpful to have a short-term memory. Let yourself forget. Take the habit of forgetting your failures. I mean, look, if you're going to go look at the failure and extract a lesson out of it that you can use in the future and you're not going to do it with shame, sure, that's fine. But if you're just going to let your failure be around to just be used as ammunition to shame yourself, no, just forget about it. Just let it all go. Find the lessons. Mistakes aren't the end. It's an opportunity. When I was in commercial cleaning, complaints are just sort of a way of life. It just happens in that industry. I mean, every industry, but definitely that one. And whenever I'd have a new person come into the business, or a person would level up into management, I would always have to remind them that, look, complaints aren't bad. They're expected. Every single complaint is an opportunity to provide incredible customer service. So don't look at it as a negative. Look at it as an opportunity to provide amazing service to your customers. Keep that focus. And that's what I would do with myself too, right? It's no, this is an opportunity to serve my customer, to show them that we can take care of things. Now, keep your mistakes original, right? I mean, we don't want to be like, if we're having the same mistake over and over, we have a different problem here. But just mistakes as a concept, there's nothing wrong with them. So just look at every mistake that you go through as an opportunity to provide yourself with amazing customer service. It's an opportunity to learn, to grow, to become better. I've had plenty of mentors in my business life tell me that complaints from customers, our toughest customers, make us the better company. They make us better at our jobs because they demand excellence from us. They don't let us get away with things that other customers let us get away with, and it makes us better at our jobs. Now, yes, they can go too far and you need to fire the customer because sometimes people got champagne taste on beer budgets. But when I was doing commercial cleaning, that usually wasn't the problem, but sometimes. But you just realize, look, when you make a mistake, you look at it, you find the lesson, you see how you could do better, you level yourself up, you make modifications to your strategy, and you just keep moving forward. Success comes from how you respond to your setbacks. It's your response to a failure and a setback that defines if the setback was a good thing or a bad thing. When the failure or the setback comes and hits you and knocks you down and you stay down and you don't learn anything from it, and then you go off and repeat the same mistake or make no changes, then the setback was entirely pointless. It was meaningless. All it was slowing you down for no reason. It was a waste of effort. But if you encounter a setback and then you have the courage to look at it judgment-free and say, okay, what happened? What could I do different? How could I resolve this? How can I solve this? How can I learn? What do I need to learn? What skills do I need to improve on? When you work on all those, now you've taken this setback and you've extracted a lesson out of it and you get up and you keep going. You made it part of the solution. You made it an essential part of your journey. I've failed hundreds of times on my journey. I don't even remember them all. I don't remember most of them. I used to get all weirded out about that. But the reality is the reason why I forgot them is because once I got my lesson out of it, I didn't really feel the need to hang on to it, because once I got a lesson out of it, it wasn't bad anymore. It was a good thing. I was like, oh, I only could have learned this in the middle of this failure. If I didn't go through this failure and stop and turn around and look at it, I wouldn't have learned the lesson that I needed to help me get through the thing I'm about to go through. It's really, really important. Now, hey, before I keep going for the last two points here, the doors to the guild are open. And I was originally only mailing the wait list, but I had several people in the Facebook group mention that hey, I can't see where to get on the waiting list, or people said I didn't get on it in time, and they're saying but I want to join the guild. So rather than just doing the mailing list, which is what I was originally going to do for the wait list, I'm going to post it other places. So if you go to the Becoming Thin Facebook group, pinned at the top, you'll find a link to the guild. I'm also going to post a link to it here in the chat, or not the chat, here in the show notes of the podcast. And you can just go there and you can click on that. Or go to the Becoming Thin Facebook group, find the pinned post at the top, click that, and that'll take you to the link to get onto the wait list, or to go ahead and get into the guild. But the thing about the guild that's really going to help, just while I'm on it for a second, is you're going to get community courses and coaching. These are the sustainers that are going to help you actually make it to the end of the journey. I know a lot of people that are like, hey, I'm doing pretty good with the free stuff. I don't know why I would need to do the guild or anything beyond that. And look, for some of you, okay, that might be true. I didn't have a guild when I did it. It wasn't a thing. So I couldn't even be a part of it because it didn't exist. So it's not like you have to have it. But one of the things about the guild that's so important, and why I want to invite you to really consider it, is it increases the odds that you'll make it. The reality is most people that start off to lose all their weight aren't going to make it. Not their first time, not their second or third. They're not going to make it because you don't even know what it is you don't know. You don't even really, a lot of times you don't even really understand the problem you're trying to solve. And don't get me wrong, I put a lot out there for the free content. There's tons out there. I don't really hold back from you, but I do have different tools at my disposal when you're in the guild. I communicate with people all the time in there. We send direct messages. We do live lessons multiple times a week. We do small group stuff. You have support communities. We have entertaining things to help forge connection. We do things in the real world. We go on adventures together. We go on hikes together. We go on 5Ks. We gather together to learn. And we, in general, just support and encourage each other all along this very long journey. And it is a long journey. And I've heard so many times, I've lost count how many times people have said, the only thing keeping me going is this supportive community, because I'd have quit, I'd have given up. And I think that's really important to remember, because you need to have a strategy that takes into account that you're going to get discouraged at times, and it's going to make it hard for you to keep going. So consider joining the Guild. Consider getting a world-class quality support network in your corner that completely understands weight loss, that's doing it slow and steady, no hacks, no gimmicks. These are just adults, not children. These are adults that are taking it serious, that are taking their life serious, that are taking their health serious, that are done putzing around. They've dropped the ego of, no, I'm going to do it by myself. I don't need any help. And they've decided that they're going to get the support they need. I'm going to read a post that was made last night, 15 hours ago, by a new member of the Guild that joined back in June. The door, as I said, this is the last time the doors were open. It was back in June. Wow. So let me read this. She says, "Hi, new Guild members. I just joined June 2025, so I feel pretty brand new still. I decided to make a whole post about Marco Polo because it has been a game changer for me. Marco Polo is something we use in the community. I know it can be scary to jump in on your new on-ramp Marco Polo group, but I really encourage you to do it. There are about 12 of us from my on-ramp group who have posted almost every day since starting. We're such good friends now and lifelong OSPs. We laugh together, we cry together, we encourage each other. The community is what has kept me going. It's so great to be able to share things that you don't normally talk about. I talk about all my issues with food. It turns out I'm never alone in my struggle. That is what the Guild's about. That is what the Guild's about. It's about the community and supporting each other. So if you're interested in that, check out the link in the show notes of the podcast or head on over to the Becoming Thin Facebook group and find the pinned post up at the top. Now let's talk about the next point. The thing that people do that make weight loss harder than necessary. Ignoring what is slowing you down. Many of us, we know what is slowing us down. We know the situations. And so we ignore the bad habits. We ignore the stressors in our life. We don't talk about them. We don't focus on them. We don't act like we can address them. We just ignore them and hope that they'll fix themselves. But many of the things we ignore have been around for a long time, and they're not going away anytime soon. You can't ignore what's slowing you down. So if it's bad habits or hidden stressors that are dragging you down, you need to take time to address them, to fix the leaks in your boat. You have to work on, if something is stressing you out and causing you emotionally eat all the time, you need to work on that. You need to both figure out how to reduce the stress that the stressor is providing, but also you need to work on how you manage the stress. You need to develop proactive coping strategies for stress, not just reactive. You see, emotional eating is often a reactive. I feel stressed and then I react. Proactive is, I'm not stressed yet, but I'm doing something so that I won't get as stressed. Proactive. And so you've got to find the things that are slowing you down and open your eyes. Shine your awareness on them. And you'll know what to do often. But the problem is, many of us ignore the single greatest obstacle in our way, which is our own mind, our own thoughts, our own belief systems, our own conclusions of what is and is not possible, of who we are and are not, what we can and can't do, how weight loss does and does not work. We try to solve our problem with the same thinking we use to create the problem, and that doesn't work. If you want to have your problem solved and you're the one that created it, you're going to have to think differently. Because I'm of the assumption you did not gain weight on purpose. I'm assuming it was an accident. It was unintentional. Like you might have been aware that hey, this behavior I'm doing is going to lead to weight gain, but I'm assuming you didn't know how to stop. Otherwise you would have. You are the reason why you haven't learned to stop. It doesn't matter. I know how to stop emotional eating. I even know how you can stop, but I don't know how to get you to stop. Only you can do that. No one can do that for you. I can teach you everything, but you can just not do it. You could just explain it away. You could just convince yourself I'm full of shit. You could do whatever you want. Ultimately, it's your decision. Are you going to go to the mirror and say, how am I getting in my own way? And you probably already have identified, you probably already know a few things you're doing that are making your life more difficult than it needs to be. But you don't think you can change them. We question all our beliefs, except for the beliefs that we truly believe, and those beliefs we will never question because they're a fact. We have these beliefs of ourselves, of who I am. I'm a black and white thinker. You can change that. No, I need to be a black and white thinker. Once I learned about being a black and white thinker, that made the whole world make sense to me. No, I have a black and white thinking mind. I have to learn how to work with it. In fact, Chris, you should accommodate me and you should talk to me in black and white. It's like, I'm going to piss you off because I don't work that way. I live in reality. I live in the truth. And the truth is black and white isn't real. That's not a thing. The world is nothing but shades of gray. That's all it is. It's not black and white. It's not absolute. And if you have that thinking, you could change it. You see, and that could be keeping you in your way. Your black and white thinking mind could be keeping you in your way. But if you don't think you could ever change that, you will never remove it. And so you will ignore it. So part of the ignoring is not like, I'm aware that this is a changeable thing and I'm going to choose not to change it and leave it in place. No, that's not usually what's happening. Usually it's like, I don't think this thing is changeable and I'm aware that it's messing me up, but because I cannot change it, I'm just going to not think about it and I'm going to go focus on the things I can change. This reminds me of something from Alcoholics Anonymous. It's called the Serenity Prayer. If you don't know the Serenity Prayer, it goes, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. To accept the things I cannot change and the courage to change the things I can. But that last line, the wisdom to know the difference. So like taking into account your black and white mind, you need to have the wisdom to know that that is something you can change. But you cannot change that you have thoughts. That you cannot change. You cannot control your thoughts. And so you might be trying to change an unchangeable thing and leaving in place a changeable thing. I'm going to change my thoughts by controlling them, and I'm going to not change my black and white thinking by ignoring it. Wait, no, you can't change your thoughts. Your thoughts are just happen. You are not your thoughts. You just have thoughts. You can influence them, but you do not completely control them. But your black and white thinking mind, that, however, is completely changeable. You can change that. So if you want to downgrade the difficulty of your weight loss journey, if you want to make it easier, stop ignoring what's slowing you down. Start looking at it. The last thing that people do that makes weight loss much harder than it needs to be, much harder than it needs to be, is they focus on speed over sustainability. We have a saying in the guild, embrace the turtle. Because rushing leads to burnout. Changing everything at once leads to burnout. I thought when I got into coaching that I was going to be giving people kicks in the butt. And don't get me wrong, I give plenty of people kicks in the butt to get going. That is a thing. But what I'm doing most of the time is reining people back. Nope, do less. Do less. Doing too much. Don't want you to burn out. Do less. Slow and steady progress. Not only does it actually work better and is it more enjoyable because you don't have to suffer so much, it's lasting. We say in the guild, it takes as long as it takes. It takes as long as it takes. Always be focusing on what can I do consistently, not what will get me fast weight loss. Don't chase fast weight loss. Chase sustainable change. What change could I make that I could stick to for the next 10 years? Let's change that. Start with those. Yes, there are some things you're going to do temporarily. Yes. But to those of you in the first half of the journey, you don't got to do much of those. You don't got to do much of them. Because for most of you, your baseline lifestyle was eating at a surplus. So just eating slightly below maintenance, you're going to lose weight and you still get to have a ton of food. A lot of you, when you're first starting your journey, you're very big. When you're very big, you need a lot of calories to stay big. And if you just eat a little bit less, not like a ton less, just a little bit less, but you do it for 6 months, you'll lose weight. And this was a big shift to me because in my journey, I told myself in the beginning, whatever I normally want to do, just do the opposite. So I normally want to lose weight fast, let's lose weight slow. I normally want to lose a lot of weight every week, let's try to lose a very little amount of weight every week. I normally do it very difficult and I'm suffering and it's very challenging and hard to do and to keep going. Let's only do it in easy ways that are easy to keep going. I lost 4 pounds in my first month and I still remember it vividly. Vividly remember it. Getting on the scale, saying I'm down 4 pounds in a month. I have not weighed in all month. First month of my journey. I've made so few changes, but a few. And I remember sitting there going like, that was the easiest weight loss I've ever had. Yes, it's like a fraction of what I would normally lose in a month. It's a fraction, but I would have worked so hard to lose 20 pounds in a month. I would have suffered and sacrificed, and I would have probably hated a lot of it. And this, it's like, I actually kind of enjoyed myself. Like, yeah, I sacrificed some things, but it really wasn't that bad. This was easy. I'm like, if it's this easy, I mean, I could be on a diet for 10 years if it's this easy. This was easy. I want a way of losing weight that is so easy that I could do it for 3 years because it's easy. I don't care that it takes 3 years. It's easy. Like, what's the rush? On the other side of the journey, I'm not going back to the life I'd led before. That'll make me fat again. I'm walking away from that life. That's the other big difference. I always thought I was going on a diet and then I was going to return to what I was doing before. No, I am walking away from all that, but I'm not walking away from it to go live a life of dieting for the rest of my life. No, I'm walking away from a life of imbalance and replacing it with a life of balance. Maintenance is balance. The calories in is approximately matching the calories out. Balance. It takes as long as it takes. Don't go making weight loss harder than it needs to be. Don't go making it hard. Simplify it. Stay consistent. Focus on what you can do today. Focus on what you can do today. Because if you look at what you're doing today, the past doesn't matter. It's already over. It's already done. Whatever you did yesterday, you already did it. But today's not written yet. And tomorrow's not a surefire thing anyway. Don't worry about tomorrow. The best way to set yourself up for success tomorrow is to have a good day today. Look, you woke up fat today, many of you. You were going to go to sleep fat tonight. You were going to wake up fat tomorrow. You were going to wake up fat next month. You were never going to be done today. You were never going to be done tomorrow. So it doesn't really matter what the scale showed you because you weren't done. So just keep going. Don't stop. Hang on. No matter how hard it gets, just keep going. But don't be afraid if it's too hard to make it easy so that you can keep going. And I'll see you next week on the Becoming Thin podcast.